At the same time that around the country, we're thankfully finally having a serious conversation about a Green New Deal, what that might look like, how we actually get there. On the other side, on the government side, the EPA is moving to screw us over when it comes to our ability to fight climate change. Axios reported this week that the EPA is going to announce its intent to loosen Obama-era restrictions on how much carbon dioxide new coal power plants can emit. Known as the New Source Performance Standards, a provision under the Clean Air Act, the rule established in 2015 said coal plants couldn't emit more than 1,400 pounds of carbon dioxide per megawatt hour. That would be restrictive, that would be a regulation that would protect us from that additional carbon. So of course they couldn't allow it, and so they're now changing that. They want to relax the limit to 1,900 pounds of CO2 per megawatt hour, which by the way, I'm not a mathematician or anything, but going from 1,400 to 1,900, that is a significant percentage change in your allowance for carbon dioxide.
What? Bold statement, John, bold. Okay, so here's a couple of my favorite things about this story. There are no new coal power plants, so this is actually one of the more irrelevant things that Donald Trump is doing. It would be terrible if there was a lot of coal power plants to let them emit more poison into the air, but that's because coal is dying. The last coal power plant was in the year 2012, unfortunately named the Turk plant in Arkansas. He wants to let them pollute, and he's increasing the amount of mercury they're allowed to put it into the atmosphere. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Just a quick question. You got your MAGA hat on, you're all good. Do you want your kids to consume more mercury and coal ash? If you said yes, you are in fact even dumber than I imagined, okay? And so, but you're like, well, on the other hand, it protects big companies. Oh, okay. Now I know what you're thinking. It protects jobs, right? Because you're told over and over again, oh, no, we got all these jobs from coal. Not really, no you don't. So you know how many jobs we're down to? Well, in the old days, there is a reason for the mythology of the coal jobs and why at the Republican National Convention, almost every speaker mentioned coal. I was like, my God. So we looked into it. I'm like, is there a lot of coal jobs? I thought it was kind of a diminishing industry, right? Well, back in the day there were, in the 1920s, there was 800,000 people employed in the coal industry. And of course, we had a lot less people in the country. So that was a sizable percentage. So that was a big industry in America. Today, with over 330 million people in the country, there are only 76,000 people in the coal industry. That's it. Okay, so the solar industry, I mean, Donald Trump is cutting their subsidies and because
pretty new.
The solar is new, so is coal, right? No. Not cutting subsidies for coal and fossil fuels, okay. But to be fair, coal is, I mean, they talk about it nonstop, it's way larger than the solar industry. Solar industry has 374,000 people that work at it. 76,000 for coal, 374,000 for solar. So if you actually cared about American jobs, you would help support the solar industry and not necessarily the coal industry.
Yeah.
I do have one more thing here, okay? And I want to go to graphics 58 and 57. There's also the matter of, so there's sometimes in the case of mercury, coal ash, et cetera, it literally poisons the air, the stream around the plants. It creates almost no jobs. So one other factor, right, it's heating up the planet and destroying the planet. So let's go to carbon emissions. They had been relatively flat from 2014 to 2016, not flat anymore. And when you look overall at how carbon emissions, I should say, are going, well, that's a pretty clear chart from 1960 to now through the roof. And how about temperatures? Well, look at that. As carbon emissions have gone up, so has global temperatures, dramatically so, okay?
It's probably a solar flare.
Yeah, from 1960, look at it from 1960 on, so you get an apples to apples comparison. So that is what scientists look at. They look at information and facts. They see that carbon emissions is the #1 contributor to global warming, in that case, the temperature and climate change. So that's a reality, and Donald Trump thinks, yeah, but it makes for a good talking point. It does nothing for the country, and it destroys the planet. but it gets me a couple of extra votes.
I mean, why are we talking about this? The sanctions and the regulations and everything. They're attempting to make coal a profitable thing. It is not right now a profitable thing. Solar is cheaper and cheaper per megawatt, generated every single year. That is probably going to continue, but in every way that they can, they have attempted to muddle with what they like to call the free market. They have instituted new tariffs that have raised the cost of solar equipment. That is making solar less cost competitive. At the same time, while Cenk rightly points out that there are no new planned coal plants, if you do want people to create new coal plants, then you do have to kill the regulations that go into the cost calculus of whether you're gonna build one. If you would have to have complicated, more expensive carbon capturing and sequestration technology, then you're probably not gonna build that plant. But if you shred those regulations, then hypothetically you could go back to doing that at some point. So in every way that they can get involved, they're not allowing this technology, whether it's coal, natural gas, solar energy, all of those different areas. The technology is advancing in some ways positively, in some ways negatively, but they're trying to get involved and shift the price in all of these things to benefit the existing dirty forms of energy creation and to hurt those, to stop solar from becoming cost competitive as it is right now across the country. By the way, I did want to say sort of the most important headline that is not going to surprise you though is overall, how is carbon going? Well, if we bring up this headline, this is from the Washington Post. We are in trouble. Global carbon emissions reached a record high in 2018. That's scary. That's the exact opposite thing that we should want when we know that we don't have years to waste in doing something. We need to get carbon neutral, but we are actually raising the amount. And the thing is, honestly, like we went back and we tried to get an idea going back through the years, through headlines, what this actually looks like. And you see Reuters reported last year, global carbon emissions hit record high in 2017. Yeah, The Guardian, global carbon emissions stood still in 2016. Hey, that's actually good. And the world's carbon emissions actually fell in 2015. So it looks like, I mean, this isn't just the US, obviously, there's a lot of different countries, but there had been some progress at one point and then that had evaporated. And we could go back, we have actually all the way back to 2008 and most of it is bad. But there had been a brief window where it looked like things were moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and shockingly enough, they then decided, they didn't decide, the facts don't decide. They wound up moving in the wrong direction in 2017 and 2018. Huh, another coincidence.
Yeah, it's complex obviously, but to the extent that we can influence it, yes, we are doing that.
And we've influenced it in the wrong direction. But I do want to be fair to Donald Trump because I actually think that he does understand the coal industry pretty well, as evidenced by this clip.
We've ended the war on beautiful, clean coal, and it's just been announced that a second brand new coal mine where they're going to take out clean coal, meaning they're taking out coal, they're going to clean it, is opening.
That never gets old. That never gets old. They take out the coal and they put it in a dishwasher and they clean it up nice. That's not what clean coal is, you idiot.
I know that we're not generally fair to Trump. I get that. I once promised on the show that I would refuse to ever be fair to him. But there's no interpretation of that video that he doesn't actually think that they wash the coal. That's the only, because the cleaning part, it's not just that they don't wash it. It doesn't have anything to do with the mining process. It is when it is used, when it is burned, the carbon is captured. That is the process. It is during that, while that's going on, you use filters and all that stuff. That's the cleaning. The mine is a distant memory for the coal at that point. But he probably also really thinks that they wash it.
No, they think that the media is too tough on him.
Brillo pads.
Yeah. Do they put it in the dryer afterwards?
I don't know. It depends if you want to use it immediately. You can line dry the coal.
Yeah, the media is not nearly tough enough on him. He is an incredibly unintelligent person. He also thinks the F-35 is literally invisible. No, it's stealth because radar can't pick it up, not because it's Wonder Woman's jet. He said it on 3, I think maybe 4 different occasions. He is monumentally stupid. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.